Live, everybody. One moment. There we go. Now I believe we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Speaker Spotlight. For those I have not met before, my name is Lori, and I am a business and personal brand success coach who helps freedom loving coaches, consultants, and strategists to grow, scale, build, grow, and scale their sustainable, location independent businesses and personal brands, helping them to leave their 9-to-5 lives in the rear view forever and gain the traction with their social media and marketing that they're looking for. And today I am joined by, I'm going to get this right, Gian Filippo, the CEO and sales officer of his digital marketing agency, Floridia. I didn't ask how that one was pronounced. Hopefully I did that right. Creative.
It is
He's
super good.
been in the marketing industry for 17 years, and his agency has been helping businesses with social media marketing, web design, Google Ads, and rebrands. And he's worked with several big brands in Switzerland like UBS, Bayer, Swiss Hotels and Resorts. Welcome, Gian Filippo. I'm working on that one.
Wow, thank you a lot, Laurie. I mean, it's look, I was focusing on my name, so I say thank you a lot, John. Laurie, thank you a lot. That was a great introduction, and you said my name perfectly, even with a little touch of French, which it makes even more nicer. Thank you.
So where to start? Well, I like to jump in, to these conversations and really just hear a little bit first about, you. And I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about, right? Is this journey into entrepreneurship, and 17 years, you've been at this a while. So tell us a little bit about the background, like what led to your decision to get into entrepreneurship, and what has that looked like for you?
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, I think I believe entrepreneurship. Sorry, it's my. It comes into you when you are already a kid. I mean, it's not. There is no. I don't believe there is a switch. You have it a little bit inside because there is two way. You are a great entrepreneur or you are a great worker. Great entrepreneur, they
Mhm.
cannot do anything without great workers, and great workers, they cannot do the opposite way. So it started very young. I always had this when I was a teenager. I always said, on with my 20s I will learn English, with my 30s I will have my own company, and so I did.
I love that. I love that. And I think you are so right. Like I've never thought about it that way, but I do think you're right. We're kind of born with this entrepreneurial spirit, and we may not know what it is when we're younger, right? But I think it's very true. Like thinking back to my own, childhood years and early on in my career, um, I just knew that I was being pulled in a different direction than I wasn't. I always wanted to kind of go against the grain and figure things out for myself, and have all these new ideas. And I think a lot of people feel that way, but they don't necessarily recognize it. So that's
It's true.
awesome. So you set out some goals for yourself, obviously, and you were pretty successful. So um, you in the beginning, I think, did you work in the corporate world, or like, working for somebody else, or were you always kind of like a freelancer before you actually started the agency?
So it's funny because I one of those people that they never liked so much school. Actually, I dropped school with 17, and I was studying completely something different. I mean, I was studying to become an accountant, and I
Yeah.
become an accountant. So before my design career, I worked even for the Italian embassy, an office of the Italian embassy as an accountant. But inside me, I was always a creative. And it's funny because when I was a kid at the school, all the teachers, they were complaining and say to my parents during the meetings and say, listen, your kid wants just to sketches and design everything. He will never do anything in his life.
If they
And
could see you
here,
now.
here I am. I mean, I'm a designer, so it started like that, and then I jumped. in a way that I started a school, a design school, which I didn't finish it, because all the people of that school will say, listen, we are working just to create our portfolio, and we present the portfolio to an agency, and then the agency eventually they hire us. I was thinking, wow, that's a good strategy. Let me finish the portfolio before finishing the school. So I did. I present my portfolio to an agency. It didn't go well, but I'm not a person that gave up. So I present to the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, until one agency say, wow, I like it, you're in. And I started working for a middle-sized big agency in Switzerland. And then I realized at that time was lots of going on in London. Europe at that time, I'm speaking about around 20 years ago, London for design was the mecca of design. So I moved to London, where I spent around 3 years, and there I had the possibility to freelance day and night. It was really there; they were getting crazy. I was Italian inside and Swiss in precision, so it's for them I was perfect. So I started to work for multiple agency, and the next step was it came automatically. I just took the clients and I opened my own agency. So
Okay, that's
that's a little
awesome.
bit
Yeah, so it's just kind of a natural transition once you had
yeah.
kind of gone from that freelancing. And I see a lot of people that take that path, but then I also see a lot of people that try to just skip right up to the agency. So I'm curious for you, do you think that it helped you to succeed in your agency to have started as a freelancer first?
For sure, for sure. I mean, it's it's always like this. If you start a startup or a new company, I mean, it's always good to have something on the side, right? I mean, it's having first working first as a freelancer. He lets you understand how, especially if you work with multiple agencies, you will start to understand through other people working in the agency how an agency life works, and what are the tricks, how they manage to get clients, how to speak to the clients, how to go to the financial, and so on, blah blah blah. So definitely it helps to start first as a freelancer, and then you realize, do I want a business or do I want a job? Do you know what is the difference?
Mhm.
I mean, a business,
Yep.
if you have a job, you work for the job. You work your time for the job. If you have
Yep.
a business, there is a business that works for you, so you can focus on expand and thinking about something else, and maybe travel a little bit around like you are doing, Laurie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a good analogy. And I also just want to point out, because I know, we have several people who aren't necessarily in the marketing world. They do marketing for their business, but they aren't marketers per se. And the same thing I think also applies. Like if you're a coach, for instance, a lot of people, like, you just jump into coaching, you don't even know if you like it, you're like, oh, it sounds good, I can do that. But there are actually like coaching agencies out there that hire coaches to work for them,
Hmm.
and so again, you can go in and get your feet wet. So this isn't only for those of you in the marketing world. I think that's a good kind
In
of,
any business, yeah.
yeah, it's anything, make sure that you actually know what you're getting yourself into, um, so that there's no surprises. And because I also see, kind of what you said, like, do you want a job or do you want a business? And I see a lot of people getting into business that they like the idea of working for themselves. They like the idea of the freedom, but they don't really want to be a CEO. They don't want to
No.
be going out and networking and, shaking hands and kissing babies, as the saying goes, right? They don't want to be doing that stuff. They just want to be coaching. They just want to be designing. They just want to be doing the actual work. They don't want to actually have the business. Um,
Mm.
and that is a big difference. That is a big difference. I think that a lot of people don't talk about. So, in terms of like that transition for you and going from, accountant, which is, that's crazy to me that yes, we're an accountant, from accountant to freelancer to like actual agency owner. Like what did that look like in terms of like the hurdles and the obstacles that you faced, and have faced and still probably face as a business owner?
Of course. I mean, it's first of all, I grew up. I was born in Switzerland, where I'm right now in Zurich, but I grew up in Italy. My parents are Italian. So the first one of the biggest thing to face is at that time was the language barrier. Today I speak
Mhm.
likely for this problem. I speak likely 4 language and a half.
Oh,
Let's say
wow.
like this, because you have to in Europe. It's not like America, big country. I mean, in Europe you move yourself a little bit left
True.
and right, you need to speak another language. So it's not that we are more smarter, don't worry. And it's not about that. And so the first barrier was definitely the language. Being in a country where I grew up, where I didn't grow up, and the first barrier, language. Second, if you don't study, you have to be a very, how do you say in English, thick skin. You
Mhm.
have to prove to people, because now less, but think about 20 years ago, if you would go in an agency and you would say, listen, I never studied design, but I'm pretty cool, they will show you the door directly and say, yes, that direction, please. It's so the second obstacle was really to sell myself. I'm sorry, I mean, I don't know if I can say that, but I
Yeah.
really had to show them that I was able to do the job. And sometimes the very first experience, they were really terrible. They would treat me super bad. Like I still remember an agency where at one point they told me, "Ah, okay, so you never did design, you're cool and so on, but could you please even clean the floor?" And at one point I was like, "Wow, is this the path?" But I said, "Okay, yeah, no problem. I mean, I don't have problem to clean the floor if I learned something from you." And in fact, I did it because I was like a sponge. I didn't care, because instead going to the school, I went straight to the people that you confront with them, and
Mhm.
they are not happy that you. Sometimes some of them are happy to teach, some of them are a little bit resistant and say, "Oh, wait a second, this guy is like a sponge, is becoming better than the teacher." So as you can imagine, in my all my paths, there were multiple challenges, but the challenges are every day. Actually, if I wouldn't have challenges today, I will be really bored. Never be
Mhm.
afraid of challenges, because those, they make you grow. And never see
Mhm.
back, never be ashamed of what you did before. So I'm happy to say, yes, I was doing something completely different. I cleaned the floor for some creative director, very
Mhm.
crazy. And but I'm not ashamed. Today I learned, and like this, I have a different, let's say, a different posture when I go in front
Mhm.
of a client.
Yeah,
So the
absolutely.
challenge are today as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as you said, those challenges, I think those are kind of what shape us and what bring us to success. And some people would consider some things that we go through in our lives and in our businesses a failure. But I don't know about for you, but for me, I don't consider anything a true failure, because those failures are what lead to your successes. And the more failures you have,
Absolutely.
the more the closer you are to success. The only true failure is when you give up, right?
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. I mean, it's there is something that I many people, they when I say that, they say that I'm crazy. But if there is something that I really love to do, it's cold calling. And I
Love
say in
cold
a
calling.
way,
I don't know if I've
and
ever heard anybody say I love cold calling.
and I say in a way very cold calling, because I love to speak to people. I'm a very extrovert person, and because I always thought in my, like you correctly say right now, there is no failure. When I was at my first, and still now I still contact new potential clients. So,
Mhm.
but at the very beginning, you need clients. So when I was
Mhm.
calling the clients, I was on purpose checking how many no, because I knew, I made in my mind, I said, okay, 50 no, it means one yes. So I was happy to get no's on the phone. So I was like, okay, no, I'm getting there. No, yes, it's coming. So that's why.
I love that. That's so true. And that, I mean, it comes back to marketing, and marketing talk, and like figuring out our conversion rates, right? Like, you know that you need to have 50 conversations in order to have a success. That's, I mean, instead of looking at it as like everybody's saying no, and I hear this a lot because um, lead generation and sales is a big part of what I teach, in with coaching. And people have this tendency to get so discouraged when it comes to getting the no. That this way of looking at it, I think, is so important, because you, like you said, you can just count. Once you know
Yeah,
kind of what you need to do to get to where you want to be, it's just kind of a numbers game. Like, okay, I know that if I, make 50 calls this week, I'm going to get one new client, because that's historically what it looks like, that's what happens
absolutely.
every single week.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people, they get scared off because they get 50 no's, and they're just like, no, like, I can't do this. And they take it personally. And I think, like you said, you're more of an extrovert, right? And you love talking to people. Do you have any pointers? I know this isn't necessarily the topic of the conversation per se, but it is part of entrepreneurship. Pointers for people that are maybe on the kind of the opposite end of the spectrum for you, who aren't as comfortable with cold calling and talking, of things that have worked for you to keep going when you do get those no's.
I mean, it's first of all, for me, it's important. I made in my mind something. If you don't like something, you should do it. Like I have a to-do list, and I put on top. First, I do the to-do list, and then I close my eyes and say, what is the task that I really hate the most? And I put on top. Do that, and all the rest of the day is gonna be really like a walk. So it's kind of I don't know how to say. It's kind of playing with your own mind, like fooling your own brain, like inventing some story to yourself, convincing yourself that you can do it. And if you don't do it, you have to say, oh my gosh, no, if I don't do that, I'm gonna be bad for the entire week. So I need to do it, like something like that. I believe everybody need to find the motivation to do that, but definitely it helps the fact that you have to see your fears in a different way. Is really don't believe on your fears, and if there is something that scares you in anything, because then it's fear is connected. Fear is connected. Job, with relationship, with anything you do it. Don't think. Go if you have 2 seconds hesitant, then it's already too late. So fight the 2 seconds. Jump. This actually is a trick that I was telling to my friends when they wanted to approach a lady. So I said, listen, if you like the lady, approach in 2 seconds. Don't think too much. 3 seconds, she's gone. It works even with guys.
I love that. So business, life, dating, like,
absolutely.
You can take this advice into any aspect of your life, guys.
Yes.
That's fantastic. And I really like the idea too of the to-do list, and just taking that item that is uncomfortable or hard, and putting that at the top, like thing that's uncomfortable. Because I'm a big believer, and one of the quotes I like to say is that success begins at the edge of our comfort zone, right? And if
Absolutely.
we're never willing to be uncomfortable, I think that if you ask any successful entrepreneur, one of the secrets of how they got to where they are, every single one of us is going to say, you have to kind of go outside those limits of your comfort zone, whether it's making the cold call or sending the DMs or getting in front of an audience and speaking, or even just like getting on a live video like this, whatever it is that you're uncomfortable with.
It's tough.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a part of your success. If you don't take the time to try the things that might feel a little uncomfortable, you're never going to know what it's like.
Absolutely. And it helps even another fact. After the worst thing that you don't want to do it, get a little reward. That's very, very important. Psychologically, super important that if you manage to do that step, that call, the DM, like you said, after
Mm-hmm.
that, get a little reward, get a little chocolate, get a little, I don't know, get a coffee or get anything that it will make you happy and say, wow, that's my reward. And do it all the time, because in our brain, then we will connect and said, wow, I connect something negative that automatically connects with something positive. So that negative becomes so small that the rest only the positive part.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yes, so I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, but yes, said, life is bigger than your comfort zone. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think it's something that in the beginning feels going outside of your comfort zone. And this is kind of a redundant statement that I'm about to say, but it feels really uncomfortable to be outside your comfort zone, right?
Uh,
Um, but it is like, I don't, if there's one tip that I could ever give anybody when it comes to entrepreneurship, that piece, like being a little uncomfortable is
and
probably
not
the
only, I think if I can add another tip, I would say get get a mentor, get somebody that, sorry the words, kick your ass, like somebody that, even a friend, even somebody that doesn't do your job, but
Mhm.
having somebody that from time to time check with you and say, hey, so did you do that 10 calls, or did you send that DM? This one could be a professional, like getting a mentor or somebody that follows, like you are doing, Laurie,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
even a friend or a family member or somebody.
Mhm.
Ask help. Never think that you can do things alone, because it's for example, something changed in my life drastically when I got my team. Before getting my team, I was kind of, I can do by myself, I can do anything by
Mhm.
myself, and I was kind of a stupid ego inside me. But as soon I got my team, and today I have a great team, you cannot imagine how smart is my team. And the thing that I love the most is that my team is way smarter than me. So now I can really
Me
ask
too.
my team and say, hey, kick my ass, or ask me if I did that, or push me if I send that email to the client, and so on. So, and this is a teamwork. Now, if you don't have the team, get a
Mhm.
coach or get a family member, get a
Mhm.
friend, and say, please, from time to time, give me a slap.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And again, yes, that is exactly what I'm here to do for people. So feel free, guys, to reach out to me if you need a little slap, as John said. So that's amazing. So I wanted to ask where people can keep up with you and stay connected to you, for those that are tuning in.
So people can connect. We have an homepage, floridia.com. Floridia,
Okay.
you write like Florida in US, but you add a double D, delta delta IA, floridia.com. So there is all the information, all our clients, what we do, what we don't. We keep it very, very active. You can find me, for example, on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is
Mhm.
Gian Filippo Floridia, or Floridia Creative as well. We are acting a little bit everywhere, and I believe being acting nowadays on social media or online is super, super important. I mean, people trust
Mhm.
things, even those things. So online you can find me, or Instagram. Oh yeah, I can see the little tag
Yes.
next to you, Laurie.
Yes, yes, exactly. Got the little Instagram up there, so please do reach out. And I'm just going to recognize. Apparently, my mother was tuning in today, so she also commented, and asked, "How did I get so smart?"
How did you get so smart? Yes,
So thank you,
yes,
mom.
Mrs. Conkler is, I believe Laurie is super smart. Before this one, we had a little chat. Well done.
Oh yes. So yes, no matter what level of success you reach, you always got those parents behind us. So thank you so much, Sean, for tuning in. Everybody, please go connect on any of those platforms. The Instagram handle right here. That's the easiest one to put up.
Yeah.
So please do connect. This has been so much fun. I really enjoyed this conversation. So thank
Likewise.
you again for joining, and everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in. And as John said, if you need somebody to kind of just kick your butt every now and then, someone to help hold you accountable and to help you really kind of take the business from ground to where
The
you
next
want to
level.
be, reach out. I'm here to help. And thank you again for being here. And thank you, yes, for joining me. It's been wonderful.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful
It's
day,
been a
everybody.
pleasure.